Mann.
So today I'm talking about Death in Venice, Thomas Mann. The story is representative of the end of an era. It's at a time where old Europe is crumbling. America's coming to the forefront. The cultural era that they're in is kind of exhausted, and in Thomas Mann's eyes, the world is giving into corruption. There's a civilizational decline that's happening at this point, and it's sort of peaking when this story is going on. It's published around the same time as Twilight of the West, and we're starting to see in the works that are published around this time, leading up to this publication in particular, there's a sort of a spirit of revolution. We're seeing in the titles words like history and twilight and death and modern. This is a pre-war period. It's very distinctive. There's the end of a school of thought happening, and we're seeing that embodied in this work. There's a very distinct range of consciousness that's happening. The work owes a lot to Nietzsche's Twilight of the Idols, especially, and to Nietzsche's work generally, really. There's a similar emphasis on revolution, the death of God, death of the establishment, that kind of thing. It's all happening together. The novel ostensibly is about the love of an older established man for a beautiful male youth, but in reality it's actually about the dignity of an artist. Mann feels that the artist really can't have dignity at all. In theory, like he can for a period of time maintain a facade of dignity, but it has to crumble at some point. So this is what we're seeing with Aschenbach and with the characters that Aschenbach creates in his stories. They're very sort of dignified and austere. They have the same sort of lifestyle he has. They're the heroes born out of weakness. And in his stories, they always just kind of stand up and are heroic and awesome. And we see it happening in his real life that they just don't work like that at all. They just completely crumble. The story is to a degree autobiographical. This actually happened when Thomas Mann was on vacation with his whole family and his 6 kids and his wife, and they, his wife apparently remembers this, like him getting obsessed with some beautiful little boy, and they just kind of all turned a blind eye to it. The story is an interpretation of Greek tragedy, which is an interesting way to go with it. It's written in a novella form, not in a drama or a play form, but at the same time, like, we have that very Greek interpretation where the Greeks thought that the love between a man and a boy was much purer and more unsullied than the love between a man and a woman, because it wasn't for procreation, it was just the love of beauty, and we're seeing that there. But at the same time, we're seeing it in a very modern sort of time frame where that isn't acceptable anymore. So we kind of have to try and reconcile the two, and it really doesn't work. It's very important that the relationship remains unconsummated from the Greek point of view, because the love between the man and the boy, if it remains unconsummated, is supposed to be bringing you closer to the good, which we love, but at the same time we've got that other sort of modern perspective where it's not good at all, and then we're viewing this as a sort of a challenge to the bourgeois establishment, which again ties into Nietzsche, because everything is dying and becoming corrupt. Mann creates a lot of different frames of reference that he tries to reconcile, and they really don't. And it's sort of an exploration of that as that's happening. There's a lot of exploration of decadence and corruption. You see this embodied especially in Tadzio's teeth. He's got this beautiful, perfect physical beauty, and then underneath that there's the bluish, unhealthy teeth. And then we see that again in the red-haired man, the one that makes him go to Venice in the first place, and the one that has the gross red eyebrows and is the gondolier. That ties in again with Venice itself. Venice has the same sort of beautiful exterior, and crumbling, corrupt, decadent interior that we see with Aschenbach himself and with Tadzio. It's very important that it's in Venice, because Venice is sort of a microcosm of Europe, and at the same time it's an anti-Europe. It's Europe's gateway to Asia, and we see in that way that that's where the cholera is coming in, that's where we're getting corruption and decadence, again, all these things coming in, which tie back to Nietzsche because they bring us out into the abyss. So that, in the end, is what it's all about. It's austerity crumbling into a Nietzschean abyss. God is dead, there's only the abyss. Man is turning on its head this sort of romantic ideal of the artist being somebody who makes nature more perfect and more beautiful. And instead he's showing the artist abandoning morality and decency and embracing corruption and nihilism and the abyss. There we go.